Hey guys, it's Tuesday. The Prez is back. I'm Lawrence Presman, co-founder of WagerTalk Media and host of Puck Time, our hockey show. Excited to have Alex B. Smith with us and Andrew McInnis. We're going to talk 4 games in depth and then look at the rest of the card very quick. First, a big shout out to Carmine Bianco for driving to my house every day, setting up the studio and handling Puck Time without me while I basically sat in Vegas and played a poker. I did really well. I came 14th in the 1100 Venetian deep stack. I tripled my money. It was a hell of a ride. I played for almost 2 straight days in that tournament. And then I literally got knocked out at around, 5 o'clock-ish. Jumped right into another tournament at 6 o'clock, the $200 bounty at the Venetian. I came 6th, made the final table. Picked up about 5 bounties along the way. It was an awesome trip. I got to hang out with Teddy and the boys, went to the studio, did a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm back now and I am ready to go. Let's bring in our guests and let's start my favorite show. Hey, Andrew, Alex, what's up? Andrew, how are you?
Hey, Prez. Yeah, glad to hear it was a good trip. Things are doing pretty good. I mean, we've got CFL rolling still, NBA rolling still, and NHL, of course, doing really well. And the NHL is, obviously a sport that's not talked about as much, but it's coming to an end. I got a couple picks coming up for the weekend. It's going to be the conference finals this weekend, and then, of course, the Grey Cup in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. And, of course, NHL keeps rolling. So it's been great, and I'm just counting down the days till my Vegas trip as well.
Alex, what's going on with you, my friend?
They said this is a busy time. You got college hoops in full swing, NHL going on right now, college football, NFL wrapping up. This is one of the busiest times of the year, but it's been a lot of fun, and been cashing some tickets over the weekend. So hoping to keep doing more of the same today.
Guys, my plane was delayed. I literally just walked in, did the college football show, now racing into Puck Time, and just didn't have any time to do promotions for this show. So I do have a couple of promotions running. They're both for football. One's for Teddy and one's for Dave. You can check them both out at the bottom of the screen. Andrew, when are you heading to Vegas?
December 9th, I'll be there. Just for 3 days, I'll be there.
And you're going to be in the studio? I was in the studio. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. I was talking with a few people about it, and definitely, hopefully, going to do some stuff with Minty or Kelly and shoot some NHL stuff like what Carmine did. I don't know if anybody saw Carmine's video, but it was a great kind of NHL betting 101. So hopefully do something like that at all. But honestly, Prez, just looking forward to meeting everybody and, kind of just touring around.
Boys, let's get straight into the show. Hockey and hockey all the time. Columbus tonight, they're on the road. They're playing Montreal. Montreal is minus 185 to 190. We have an over and under of 6 in this game. And Columbus is on, a free fall. They just lost to Colorado 4-2. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games. Montreal, though, they just beat the Kings 3-2, and they've won 5 of their last 7. Andrew, I'll go to you first. I know you're a Habs fan. You can't lay this type of number in this game.
No, I can't. But Prez, it's music to my ears. Hearing you even say anything nice about the Habs, whether it's just reading their standings or reading their stats. I'm not going to go ahead and lay them minus 170, 175. I want to look at them in regulation in this spot. Columbus, they're on a pretty decent losing streak right now, 1-6 in their last 7 games. However, they have played some tough teams, so that's kind of what made me think maybe they're a little bit better than they've been projecting. Playing teams like Colorado and Vegas are always going to be tough. But I certainly think that with Carey Price still being himself in nets and then finally getting that secondary scoring from the Montreal Canadiens, it's the same thing I've been saying for a while now, and it's even better this year. We don't have any superstars. I know that, but we have 3 lines that are going to score. And I just don't think Columbus has that. They have a few guys that will score night in, night out, but they don't have that depth that Montreal seems to have right now. So you're right, Prez. I don't want to lay the minus 175, but you can get the regulation at a pretty good price around, I think, minus 120.
Yeah, Alex, the only reason I'm not going to touch Montreal in regulation or on the money or puck line is The Fonz is going to have this team going at some point. I mean, he's probably one of the most motivational coaches around, and he is furious with Columbus right now. He's going to do a couple of A's, a couple of bangs against the wall, and the light switch goes on. I'm going to stay away from the side, but I like the under in this game. I mean, Montreal's slowed down a little on their goals, and Columbus has gone under 3 of the last 4, with the last game being a push. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You look at Columbus; they've gone under 4 of the last 6. These two teams, when they meet up, they've gone under 6 of the last 8 meetings. Like I said, Montreal, they can turn that offense on at times, but more often than not, you're only going to get maybe 2 or 3 goals out of them. And like I said, Columbus, no matter how much Torch screams and yells at them sometimes, that may not be enough to get the job done with them as far as scoring, especially if Carey Price is on his A game tonight. So only thing I can play here would be the under 6.
Andrew, Boston Bruins, I mean, this team, we all knew they were good. I thought they were not going to be as good as they've come out this season. They have an 11-3, 1-2 record. They're just a fierce team. I mean, they might be the best team in hockey right now. They're playing a very fast Florida team with a really good goalie in net, and Florida is a surprising 8-4. Minus 160 for Boston with an over and under of 6.5. If I'm going to do anything in this game, I would take Boston in regulation, and I would take over the total. What do you like?
I agree with the Boston regulation. However, I'm going to look at the under, and I know it's definitely a struggle to bet any Florida game under right now, but we've seen a really, really upset Bruce Cassidy these days at press conferences, the head coach of the Boston Bruins. Look, this team can score. They've got a lot of guys that are capable of scoring. Their top line is notably one of the best lines in the league. However, their defense is really what's been killing them these days. They're averaging around 4 goals, 3 goals a game in their past five games, and that's unacceptable because if you have that fallout offensively, you want to be able to have your defense there to have your back. And as talented as this Boston team can be, they're actually completely an under team. So. Florida, they obviously, Prez, they've been going over left and right. There's no denying that, just like the Capitals are. But I think the better team dictates the pace. In any sport, the better team dictates the tempo, and Boston's still the better team. And they're going to be really focused on defense here. If we're getting a 6.5 with the Boston Bruins team, I'll go under 6.5 for this one.
Yeah, I mean, look, Alex, I told Andrew I lean on the over. I can't get to the window with that, but I mean, you look at it, and Boston has gone over 4 of their last 6 games, and Florida just keeps playing to the over. I mean, they had an under against the New York Islanders. Who doesn't? And that Islander team, my God. What do you like in this game?
I like the first period over here in this spot. You see, when you're seeing a 6.5 total, and we're only getting that 1.5 at around $1.45, $1.50 with that first period. This is a Boston Bruins team that's been cashing plenty of these first period overs. Also some injury issues on the blue line for Florida as well. It says Bruins, we see them lose 3 games in a row. Like I said, so Cassidy's going to have this Bruins team fired up. I can see them getting some goals early, and maybe things stabilize out. Might be able to take a live under after that first period, but I like the first period over here for sure.
He's Alex B. Smith, Andrew McInnis joining us. You're watching Puck Time again. Thank you to Carmine Bianco for hosting while I was away. A couple of quick promos for all of you guys. Teddy100, head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the promo code Teddy100 to get $100 off of his NFL season. And trust me, folks, this is the perfect time to get on Teddy's NFL season. He had an awesome start in September. He hit the skids a little bit in October, but just had a great weekend and a really excellent start to the month of November. He's on a 13-4 football run, and you can have $100 off of his regular price, his NFL season regular price. Use the promo code Teddy100. Guys, the New York Rangers playing much better hockey of late, and we actually expected this team to be middle-of-the-pack team. They're hosting Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 10-6 on the season. Andrew, I'll go to you first on this game. Where are you going to go in this one?
Actually, it's interesting because Carmine and I had a chance to talk about this game yesterday together because there weren't too many games, obviously, on the board. And I told him I wanted to go over. And it's just basically Pittsburgh has really, really been stepping it up these days. And when teams get a healthy lineup back finally, for me, I'm not the one to just jump right all over them. You don't want to jump right on a team when they're just getting healthy. You want to wait a couple games, wait a little bit of time, and that's kind of what I'm thinking with this Pittsburgh team right now. They're certainly dominating right now, at least on the road anyway. They've had some good victories, but now they're playing a New York team where they should beat. But New York's been that team playing spoiler all year. That we don't really know what New York really is, but they're competing in some high-scoring games. They're coming off a game against Florida, which, like we all just mentioned in our last breakdown, they're pretty much going over the total with everybody. That was a 6-5 game. And I do think New York has some talent. And I don't really trust Georgiev, and I don't really trust Lundqvist. So I think Pittsburgh's kind of getting their swagger back, for lack of better terms. And I think New York can get a few in for us as well. So I'm going to go over 6.5. And I do have a lean to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And at the minus 140 price, I don't think that's too bad of a number to grab. So I'll lean with Pittsburgh in the short favorite here.
Alex, I can't play over the total in any Rangers game, and I don't want to play over the total in the Pittsburgh games either. So I'm not with Andrew on the total. If I was going to bet this game, I'd actually bet the Rangers. They are plus 120. They've won 4 of their last 6 games, but their last loss was in overtime. This team is definitely coming together right now. That's where I'm going. The Rangers plus 120 for me.
No, the only thing I would be looking at here would be the over in this. I wouldn't even play in the Rangers, or the Penguins rather, even though you look at the trend here, 12 of the last 18 meetings have been won by the road team going back to 2015, but the stronger trend by far is the over. 12, 2-1 in those last 15 meetings between the two clubs. Pittsburgh, they are missing Sidney Crosby. He's out tonight with the lower body injury. Chris Letang's out indefinitely, but you got to understand, those are two guys that the Penguins have gone over the years missing significant games with both of these players throughout the year. Letang hasn't played a full season more than 2 years in his whole career. Of course, we've seen Crosby be out of the lineup at times during the course of his career as well with different various injuries. So a slight lean maybe with the Rangers, but I like the over here at 6.5 as well.
Prez, I think New York's one of the weirdest teams because you look how they beat Nashville and they were plus 220 underdogs. And then they beat Tampa Bay. They're plus 190 underdogs. Then they go ahead and play Ottawa, and they're minus 160 favorites and lose 6-2. I just can't trust an inconsistent team like that. If you're betting New York recently, though, you're making some money, obviously, on the plus money.
Didn't Boston just lose to Detroit?
Yeah, they did.
That's hockey, Andrew. And we see it every year. The New York Islanders, who can barely lose, when they go on a losing streak, it'll be to Detroit and Ottawa. That's just how it works. Every team is like that. Nobody is different. Tampa Bay, last year I remember with Tampa Bay was, a historic season. And I remember losses to really bad teams. That's just how it works. I don't think that's specifically relevant to Pittsburgh or the Rangers. I think that's just hockey.
Yeah, but you do have some teams that'll play up or down to some of the competition every now and then, and maybe that's the case with the Rangers. Maybe they get up for this game, where as opposed to, they just tend to lay an egg against the Ottawas and Detroit's of the world. So that's something to kind of have to keep note of, especially when you're talking about laying a price. The Rangers team, they're only 3-3 as a favorite, to where they are 4-5-2 as a dog. So they have kind of burned you a little bit if you've been betting them as a favorite so far.
Guys, the Winnipeg Jets, they're at home tonight hosting Colorado. They're minus 125 with a total of 6. I was on the Jets a few days ago, the Vancouver game. I won. And I've been high on the Jets all season. They started off very rough, but they have won 4 of their last 5 games. Colorado had a huge injury situation, lost 5 games in a row, but then beat Columbus and just walloped Nashville on a 9-4 hockey game. My girlfriend Vivian has been betting hockey for the last 3 weeks. She took the under in that hockey game. 13 frickin' goals were scored. Anyway, bottom line for me, Andrew, I'll go to you first. I really like the Jets here.
Colorado, this is a tough game for me, Prez. I'll be honest. I have a tough time looking at Winnipeg because, like you said, they had a tough start to the season, but they've been giving us such good prices with Winnipeg ever since their slump that I'm happy to hear you've been cashing tickets with them. I haven't been one of those people, unfortunately. I was so high on Colorado, then we just saw them fall off with some injuries. Landeskog's out tonight, of course. Grubauer is out. Zadorov's out. Rantanen's out. So it's just too many question marks. I mean, the biggest key for this Colorado team and the biggest reason I was praising them early in the season was because they had that depth and they had so many guys. But, you know, if you have one injury for like 1 or 2 games, it's like, okay, cool, we got some guys that can step in. But if those guys are out for, you know, a long period of time or a few weeks or a couple more than just a few games, it makes a difference. So, look, I guess I would agree with you. Winnipeg's turning it on right now, and you know, they're beating some pretty good teams. Like you said, that Vancouver game was pretty good. The Dallas win was good. It was a close one. And people were kind of counting them out because of their defensive injuries and kind of their sloppy play to start the season. But you can't forget some of these guys on Winnipeg. Their top 6 is still absolutely dangerous. So, yeah, it's going to be a good game to watch. If you like hockey, it's going to be a good game to watch, and I would lean to the Jets here at home.
I'm playing hockey tonight. Last week I played. We lost 12-0, Alex. 12-0.
Nice. Were you guys playing against Colorado? Because Colorado seems to be a team that has an offense that could put up 12 goals on anybody. So,
well, given that we're a D league, we're in Division D in beer league hockey.
Division D.
What division are you in, Andrew?
Oh, that guy. Well, I don't play right now.
Enough said. Shut up. But what division are you in, Alex?
I played D1 basketball.
Shut up, Andrew. You don't even play hockey and you're 22 years old. I'm freaking 50. 50! And I play
I'm allowed
hockey.
to smile, aren't I? I'm just happy. I'm a happy guy, that's all.
Plus, you're 6'20". So if you play D hockey, you would really suck.
I look like Bambi on skates because I'm so tall.
Yeah. 12-0 we lost last week. It was 5-0 midway through the first period. And to give you perspective, the first period's 12 minutes long. Yeah. So let's move on from that. What do you like, Alex?
I got a total play that's available on this one at sportsmemo.com, but with the side, the only way I could go here would be with Winnipeg. I mean, the injuries for Colorado, it's one thing to lose Landeskog, lose Mikko Rantanen because you have forwards that could pick up that slack, but now you talk about losing Nikita Zadorov, but then losing Philip Grubauer, and now you got Pavel Francouz, who's been playing 3 games in a row. This is a fairly unproven goalie. There's just no way that I'm going to be backing him and riding him. I don't see him carrying this load more than 3-4 games, so I could see where Hellebuck and the Jets get the job done tonight.
Guys, it's time for the last minute of play, but before we get into that, last week on one of my shows, I talked about the day I met Bruce and Michael Buffer, or whatever, you know. It's time. Those guys. I was with a buddy at Mandalay Bay, and he knew them very well. We walked into to breakfast, and they were sitting there. And we ended up joining them for breakfast. I was in one of my Prez idiot moods, and well, they did not like me. The dinner came, the breakfast, it was a brunch. The brunch came, and I literally turned to them, and I'm like, it's time to pass the salt to the Prez. I kept doing this I can't remember. It's time, I think, is Bruce, and then Michael has, what was Michael's thing?
Let's get ready to rumble.
I was like, let's get ready to pass the OJ. Dude, I am never welcome around those two again. They were completely unamused with me. So that's my Michael.
Well, there goes WagerTalk's chance of ever getting UFC passes. Nice, thanks.
Yeah, except Gianni.
I hope this is a true story, Prez.
Except Gianni the Greek works for the UFC, so we have no issues getting UFC passes. And interesting you say that, Alex. I went to a UFC fight. Many years ago, I saw the final fight between Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock. I actually
nice. All right.
bumped into Ken Shamrock in the elevator about 3 hours after the fight. He was so battered. I took the elevator ride up with, I couldn't even talk to him. I was like, he had like cuts and his face was all swollen. And also just to let everybody know, going to a UFC fight is very different to watching it on television. There is about half an hour between each fight. There was a lot of blood in that fight. There was a Canadian guy from Calgary, had his head smashed half open. You end up doing so much sitting around. It's not, to me, a great thing to see live. I also went to a fight a year before that, a boxing fight. Mexico's most beloved boxer, he was like 54-0 or something, I can't remember his name, Chavez, against the
Julio Cesar Chavez.
Against the Guatemalan. It was in Vegas, and if there were 20,000 people there, there were 18,000 Mexicans, 2,000 Guatemalans, and a Jew from Canada. There were more fights in the actual stands,
the crowd,
than there was in the ring. I feared for my life, dude. I was like Guatemalan on my left side, Mexican on my right. I was waving the Switzerland peace flag. Dude, it was one of the scariest places I've ever been to in my life. Anyway, those are my stories for today. St. Louis minus 170, 12-3. No Stanley Cup hangover for this team. They're playing an Arizona team who is 10-6-2 on the season, and this Arizona team is frankly a tough out. 5.5 is the total. I lean under. Andrew?
I'm sorry, Prez. What did you just say? I got a text that was not a good text.
It wasn't a good one?
It's just like a family matter. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, dude. I mean, that's really, really important. Alex, you go first. I like the under in the St. Louis game.
Yeah, lean with the under. I also would look at the draw here. We've been seeing a lot of Coyotes games going to overtime, especially last night. Yeah, the 3-1 lead, and they blew it with a minute left in regulation, and ended up getting the 4-3 win over Washington in that shootout. But I could definitely see where the draw might come into play. But if I had to play a side, would only be leaning with St. Louis.
Andrew?
Yeah, well, Arizona, I've been liking them these days, and we saw what they were capable of doing last night. The problem is they're on a back-to-back, and St. Louis is pretty rested, but it's like you mentioned with me earlier in the show about Montreal. Do you like St. Louis enough at this price? And I don't. So if I was to play a side, it would be Arizona, just simply off the value of plus 155. And we're seeing a 5.5, so I would look at the over 5.5 as well. Arizona is scoring, and St. Louis continues to get 5.5, although they've been, trending to the over every now and then. So I would lean to the over and the Coyotes and the plus money.
As I said, I'm not with you on the over. I think this is going to be a tight checking hockey game. Guys, Vancouver, at least 34 superstars on that team. They're hosting Nashville, plus 105 for a Vancouver team that's really playing a high-level hockey right now. The total is 6. I'm just going to pass. I can't get near this game. Alex?
You got Elias Pettersson, 6 goals, 15 assists, 21 points in 19 games total. Definitely looking like some all-star numbers as far as I'm concerned. Nashville, like I said, playing a bit of struggle lately. They've lost 4 of the last 5, but Vancouver's lost 4 straight. Should be a turnaround game for either one of these teams. I like Vancouver here at home to get things rolling.
Andrew?
Only way I'm looking is the over. As much as I've been liking Vancouver. Nashville is still an outstanding team. This is close to a pick'em-ish type game, and I think Nashville is still so much more different of a team than they were last year. We're getting consistent scoring from them on the road, which is something we didn't see last year out of them. 5 of their last 7 games on the road have gone over the total, and we know what Vancouver has done at home. So. A couple games in a row from Vancouver with, low, maybe 1-2 goals. And I feel like this type of game against Nashville, maybe you can kind of wake them up a little bit and start getting them scoring again. So I'll go with the over 6 here.
A minus 170 for Anaheim hosting Detroit. And I mean, obviously Detroit and Ottawa, 2 worst teams in hockey, but this Anaheim team has impressed given that I thought they would just stink all year. And they're finding scoring. I got to take Anaheim in regulation here, Alex.
No, I'm going with Detroit here in this spot. We're finally seeing where John Gibson's getting a bit worn down. The loss of Josh Manson on the defense for the Ducks has been huge as well too. We've seen them letting goals in bunches. This is a Detroit team that's now starting to get back into their role of being that sneaky underdog. One back-to-back games, I can see them getting another one here. I like them at plus 150.
Yeah, I am not with you there. I actually think Anaheim in regulation might be the best play on the board. Guys, Dave 100. That's the promotion today for Dave Koken. Dave Koken is 38-22 in college football. 38-22. That's 63.3%. He went 4-1 last week. His only loss, he lost to the quarterback in that game. You guys can get $100 off the rest of his college football season. Head over to WagerTalk.com. Use the promo code Dave100. Andrew, what do you like in this Anaheim-Detroit game?
It's obviously not really a pretty game, but, it's a value game for me. The same thing. Like, I'm not going to back Anaheim right now after their back-to-back losses and the way they've been playing. Overall, I've been impressed with them in the season, but not really recently. And that's kind of been how I've been handicapping NHL, having a really short memory, looking at how teams, their recent success or recent failures. But the problem is Detroit's had recently 2 great wins against Boston and Vegas, but they were at home. And they're still 0-7 in their last 7 games on the road. Have not been performing. So can they come out here and do it tonight? I'm going to go ahead and grab a stab at them at plus 155. I've listed 1 or 2, maybe I think 3 underdogs here tonight. So, if you go 1-1 with the underdogs, you make some money. So I would not want to lay 165 with the Ducks right now. And Carmine said it, like, you want to catch a team at the beginning of their streak. And I don't think Detroit's going to, get on a streak by any means, but I caught on their streak when they were losing and faded them a few times. And then I had Boston and I lost that one, but I was okay with it because I made some money fading them. And now it's like, okay, the Red Wings are getting hot again. They had 2 good games in a row and they're playing a Ducks team. So maybe they can go on the road and keep going and keep seeing that puck go in the net. If they don't, it's a plus 155 loser. I wouldn't have wanted to play Anaheim minus 165. So like Prez said, if you want Anaheim, please go in regulation. Don't lay that number.
Agree 100%. When you talk about Detroit going on a run, catching them on a run, I mean, my suggestion is a Detroit Red Wings run would be putting 3 periods together. San Jose minus 140 hosting Edmonton. And you guys were not big on Edmonton at the beginning of the season, if you go back and listen to the NHL preview show, but I was. And they are 12-5, 1-1 on the season and playing outstanding hockey. Dave Tippett has turned this team around, and I think this is a playoff team. I think San Jose stinks. Alex, I like the dog here. Edmonton at plus 120.
That's a pass for me. You got a San Jose team. They've won 3 in a row. Edmonton's strung together a couple of nice wins back-to-back. But this is just, like I said, better spots on the board here. Would lean with the over. The over is 8-2 the last 10 meetings between the 2 clubs.
Yeah, I like the over a lot in this game, too. And, Andrew, the thing for me is, when I'm looking at teams like Anaheim and San Jose, I'm looking to fade them when they play fast teams. Connor McDavid is the fastest player in the league by far. I don't think they're going to be able to keep him down. So I'm with Alex completely on the over. And I think if you take Edmonton and the over in this game, I think at worst you're going to go 1-1. What do you like?
Yeah, Prez, well, you were really high at Edmonton. I absolutely hated San Jose coming into this season. So kind of works out for both of us. If someone watched our preview show, they kind of know who to grab. However, I think Edmonton's going to be on a decline, and I'm not even just saying this to be the devil's advocate, but looking at some of these wins that Edmonton has strung together, it's been against Anaheim, New Jersey, a Columbus team I don't really like very much. The past couple wins for them haven't been against great teams, and they've been off to a good start. We got to look at this NHL season in increments, first 10 games, first 20 games, first 30 games, and right now, this team is still struggling against Western Conference opponents. They're 1-4 in the last 5 against the West, and I don't like San Jose. I'm not eager to bet this one. My bet I do like in this one is the over, but the thing is, like, you talk about McDavid, and we know how good he is. That goal he scored a few nights ago was unbelievable. He absolutely undressed Gibson, I think it was, but that's still the problem. And I hate to only just keep saying this, Prez, but until they can get more guys that can be creating those highlight packs and a couple nice goals on when we're watching the highlights, they're not going to be successful because they only beat up on the shitty teams. Like, New Jersey isn't a very good team.
Nor is San Jose, Andrew.
I know, but they're at least a little more experienced, and they're a Western Conference team that's tough. Like, New Jersey and Anaheim, like, who cares? They won 6-2 and 4-0. I know it's just the past 2 games, but I think this could be a tough spot for them. I'm not saying Edmonton's not a good team. They're the best Canadian team. They're 12-5-2. But I just think when you're up this high the whole season, sometimes you got to come down, and this could be a game where they could come down.
I agree. I just feel like the matchup is good, and I feel like,
Sure.
for me, it's like take Edmonton, take the over. Edmonton's going to get you your 3 goals tonight. So, I mean, worst case, you're going 1-1. Last show, boys, the old and extremely slow, ironic, Jonathan Quick in net for the LA Kings. They're hosting Minnesota. The total is 6. It's a pick'em game. I'm staying as far away from this game. To me, is like an opportunity to be with Kathy Bates. I'm staying as far away from this game as humanly possible. Alex?
Good analogy there. This is now the 13th game on the road for the Wild in the last 18 overall. Just an absolutely brutal stretch that they got delivered with the schedule in the beginning of the season. I would actually be looking at the draw plus 285. 5 of the last 9 meetings between the Wild and Kings have gone into either overtime or a shootout. I could see a lethargic Wild team here probably skate till maybe a 2-2 overtime and probably see the Kings win it in no team.
Andrew?
Yeah, I'm not betting this, but if I had to, and if I was looking for some action on this game, I would look at Minnesota. It's a pretty good price at around -110, and they started off really rough. The Wild did, but they actually started scoring some goals, 3, 4, 5 goals in some games recently. And the LA Kings, you don't know what the hell you're going to get out of them any other night. And how often are you going to get the Minnesota Wild versus a team like this at a decent price? Not too often, but it's a bad hockey game. There's better spots that we've talked about that are worth betting on.
That's the show, boys. Real privilege to do this with you guys again. I missed you both. Tomorrow's show, Andrew McInnis and Buster Sports. Thanks again to Carmine Bianco. And also, guys, check out the College Football Betting Show with Teddy Covers and Dave Koken. It's up on our YouTube channel. The NFL presidential address will be up tonight with Ralph Michaels, and the Betting Edge with Drew Martin and Tony Finn. It's $2 Tuesdays at Sports Memo and Wager Talk, our featured handicapper, the hottest guy we have at each site. They're played today for only $2. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment. And boys, sorry we taped late today. It was really hard flying into Toronto. I probably went to bed at 5, 6 in the morning last night. Didn't get a chance to do a damn thing and slept through my alarm. Later, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you, Prez.